Robert Chandler Jr. was born on September 4th, 1927, and grew up as an only child in Alabama. Bob always showed an interest in the world around him. At age 10, he started collecting stamps, and his passion for music led to an extensive collection of LPs. After graduating high school, Bob was conscripted into the Signal Corps, a branch of the US Army that specializes in communications. He was stationed in Korea and helped install infrastructure. He served until 1948 before returning home to become an engineer. Moving frequently for work, Bob fell in love with the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia and settled down in the city of Roanoke. Over his career, Bob was responsible for at least 7 patents. He designed scooters, a vehicle logging system, and machines used for producing plastic products. In 1956, Bob married a woman named Patricia Harley. They had 2 children together, named David and Carol. But shortly after moving to Richmond in 1975, the marriage fell apart. Bob's relationship with his children wouldn't survive the divorce, and they rarely spoke to each other afterwards. In 1979, Bob took a fateful trip to the pub and met Barbara Weston. She was enamored with his singing, and with the help of some alcohol, the two fell in love. They married each other, and in 1982, their son Christopher was born. Despite the early signs of mental illness, Bob tried his best to share his hobbies with his son. He converted their backyard shed into what he called the Dreaming Studio, where he and Chris could build things together. The Dreaming Studio would rarely see any use as a workshop. By the mid-80s, Bob's health was in decline, and he suffered multiple heart attacks. Fearing that his days may be numbered, he wrote an open letter to his 5-year-old son, in case he passed away unexpectedly. I hope I have been able to provide for you and your mother until you at least get to college, and for your mother until she joins me at the great sing-along in the sky, or wherever. Anyway, I expect you to take care of her, love her, and never disappoint her for as long as she lives. I also expect you to never disappoint me, because I will always be with you to help you when the going gets tough and you need me. Well, Christopher, one of my actions that I regret the most when I was a young man, sometime in the late 40s, I think. I was entrusted with my grandfather's straight razor by means of his last will and testament, and I carelessly misused it and broke it by trying to use it as a screwdriver. Well, I still have that broken razor of his, and I still carry the burden of carelessly, with no concern, breaking it. I knew that I would never use it to shave with, but it was my one personal bond with him, and I still feel like I betrayed his trust by carelessly and thoughtlessly misusing it and breaking it. I hope that you will not carelessly misuse, waste, or destroy the value of the many things I have collected for you. I didn't plan my life, I just took it as it came along. I seem to have had no control over it. It always came along with what was right for me. Look at me, 8 years ago in 1979, when I was really down and out. No friendship with Alan and Carol, and ready to cash in my chips with heart problems that I didn't even know about. Your mother, Barbara Ann, helped me through the rough spots, and together we had you. Now, I really had something to live for. No better things or events could have happened to me. We have come a long way in the last 8 years. Together, we have built a whole new life with an exciting set of dreams. I also expect you to never disappoint yourself. If you think you're at a dead end at something you are trying to do, just stand back. And if it is meant to be, an answer or break will appear. Just remember, there are many sides to a mountain and many ways to climb it. Everything in its time. Your mother and I have done our best for you, and in return we expect at least that from you, for yourself and your children.
Oh my god, it's a double rainbow all the way.
Whoa! Oh my god! Oh my god! Fucking rainbows.
You cannot in your mind.
We're eating a large mag.
Scorpio.
Touch me on my studio.
He fucking hit me! Consequences! Are you ready to play? Why?
Hello, ladies.
As the wife.
By the end of December 2010, Chris had almost completely abandoned the internet, aside from online gaming. Most organized trolling efforts stopped during this period, as Chris was impervious to provocation. He did, however, continue to communicate with various fake gal pals, including a woman known as Love You Long Time. Unknown to Chris, this was an alias of the troll Kim Wilson. He planned on meeting up with Love You Long Time at MAGFest, a music and gaming festival. But on January 14th, he was forced to cancel the trip by his parents, as he explained over email. Yesterday, in a final childish attempt, I gave my mum and dad the autistic treatment, silent, deaf, and no eye contact, which wrecked a family outing to country cooking that afternoon. After getting back home, she came up to my room and in an angry, sad tone told me sarcastically, "Go on your trip, but at least take 2 blankets with you to keep warm." Then she left crying. Then my father came in a few minutes later, telling me of us 3 being a whole and what would happen if one leaves, and informed me that due to the crap on the internet against and about me from the trolls and what I uploaded, as well as my real events between PVCC, the mall, the cops, and all that shit, plus being psychologically matched to the high school and college dropout who shot the people in Arizona, and the great number of people locally and worldwide who hate and loathe me. Legally, I'm a sitting duck. And he told me of Mum saying she was going to pack up and leave the house. Then I ran downstairs, finding her on the couch. She was so miserable and sad. She talked of wanting to die. "You don't even have to change my clothes. You can just bury me in what I have on." I was so sad and so sorry for the way I misbehaved. We hugged and made up a bit. I felt worse than shit. A few minutes later, Mum calls me on my cell to check on me. I tell how miserable I was. She came upstairs. I was on the bed, in fetus position, with quilt on my head. I did not feel like showing my face. She sat by my side, rubbed my back with one hand in comforting attempt, confiding in me moments of similar events that happened to her. I eventually sat up with her, and we shared a good, long cry with tissues. Then we went up to Walmart for groceries at about 8 after finishing our cry and recovering. Points are, my family and I do not have any friends and outside family to depend on. Mum and Dad's relative gave us constant cold shoulders, thinking they're royalty, when really they're no better off. After missing MAGFest, Chris fell into a deep depression, refusing to answer his phone and rarely responding to emails. On February 25th, Chris's ex-girlfriend Jacqueline Romey wished him a happy birthday. It took him over a month to reply, and when he did, Chris noted some changes to his identity. First off, the emails I'm sending you are strictly confidential. Do not share the content of anything I sent to you with anyone, including Lars. I have gone through an emotional 180, more or less, within the past month. In a nutshell, I have grown my hair out and continuing to let it grow. I have learned the best term to describe me: Tomgirl. Yes, I am a Tomgirl and I'm damn proud of it. I have embraced and appreciated my feminine side. I am still totally heterosexual. Otherwise, I would be a full-blown you-know-what. I also have had my ears pierced with amethyst studs, my birthstone, recently. I have been more self-confident, and I have a sweet sachet walk, hair and wink flirts. And I'm greeting women left and right. Hello. Also, here is another way to consider me. I am a Ken doll. Any Barbie can dress in her clothes, and I would feel most comfortable in them, and to model them for her. Come shopping with me, sweetie. Chris began cross-dressing and wearing makeup, sharing photographs of his transformation with Jackie. On March 30th, he changed his PSN quote to "I am Tomgirl." Jackie didn't respond until April 18th. I hope you're not mad, but I was so turned on by those pictures. I told her it was important that she keep it completely secret. Chris was slightly annoyed that Jackie shared his private photos, but after they didn't turn up on the quickie within a couple days, he forgave her. Jackie revealed that Lars was no longer in the picture, and the two decided to give their relationship another shot. While Jackie was enthusiastic about Chris's new identity, his parents were less supportive. Chris explained that his mother was uncomfortable with his Tomgirl ways and was worried that he might become gay or transgender. He also mentioned that his father was recovering from colon cancer surgery, which was causing him to be even more confrontational and argumentative. Jackie and Chris spoke almost daily throughout May. He often brought up his parents' disapproval of his lifestyle choices. Last Sunday, my mother comes upstairs and yells at me about how she thinks I'm turning queer from being tomgirly and feminine, and she fears that I would her. Hand to God, I would never anyone, including my own mother and father. Violence and murder is rarely the answer. Murder is morally wrong. I care about my mother and father very much. And even worse, she threatens to me in her episode of Emotional Rage. And shortly later, she tells me to come downstairs, so I go. She tells me to sit down, and she does the worst thing that broke the last straw on my camel's back. She cuts my long hair short and butchered. After seeing the butchered hair in the mirror, I was so in shock. I wield the double-edged sword I have been holding in for weeks since a much earlier fit of emotional rage of hers. I called her a bitch. With her as a bitch, that makes me a son of a bitch. And it hurts me deep too. On May 26th, Chris told Jackie that he had discovered a new web forum called Tomboys and Tomgirls of Virginia. Unbeknownst to Chris, it was yet another trap set by the trolls. Chris signed up with the username Kooky Dashi. He wrote an introductory post, attempting to keep his true identity secret. Hello fellow Tomgirls. You all may address me by my screen name in the board talk. I like music, makeup, dressing up in my mini, having fun and hanging with my girlfriends, karaoke, video games, crafting and art. I am also empathetic, so I can understand other people's feelings, as well as my own. I am a dynamic, complex individual. I do not have many dude pals because I have my own mental hang-ups against the majority of them, nothing personal. I have a history of being bullied by some mean brutes, as well as homosexuals, over the internet. Cyberbullies, trolls, anons are a hot button with me. I prefer not to discuss that issue further, and I am an all-round good, friendly, honest, heterosexual tomgirl. Chris left a reply in a thread about the unacceptance of parents. Y'all are singing my song. My mum and dad were shocked bad when I told them I was a tomgirl. So literally old-fashioned. They're both seniors. My mum said I didn't raise a daughter, and my father threw the damn card at me. I will always be straight, mum and dad. Give me some faith and trust. Chris spoke about his newfound struggles with public bathrooms. After I realised my tomgirly ways and started dressing up in my skirts, I started feeling discomfort in using the men's restroom. I asked my closest gal pal if it would be going too far in using the ladies' room. She told me to go with my feelings. My next skirted outing, I used the ladies' room, and I squatted, holding my arrow down over the john, so I would be less likely to soil my skirt. It felt good and right. Days later though, after 4 more lady trips, a woman complains and tattles on me, and a stereotypical brute male shouts me out. I felt embarrassed. When in skirt, I'm still gonna go to the ladies, because there is no going back for me. On June 4th, Chris wrote to Jackie about a recent confrontation. The other night, I went out to Sheets for my mother to get her 2 hot dogs for $1. Some male sees me in one of my tanks and jeans, fucking asks me, "Are you gay?" "No, I am a tomgirl," I replied. I felt pissed off to be asked that, especially after all of the shit I got from the trolls and cyberbullies with their mislabeling me and shit. Hell, if anything, I would feel a lot better being mistaken for a woman, or even better and more accurate, a lesbian. Upon self-reflection, I feel that all things considered, between not caring much for the majority of the male population, coping and socializing more easily and being best attracted to women, me being a tomgirl and being most comfortable in skirt, heels, sexy cute top or full dress, long curled hair and makeup, I would best fit in at an all-women lesbian bar. I wish I could afford the prices to have my face, legs, arms and torso waxed in a nail salon or spa, so I wouldn't have to worry about shaving. Yes, I do go Brazilian too. On June 9th, Chris accused a tomboy of being a man in disguise. There is a pretty face, lovely head of hair and a nice rack in the photo, but I feel I have to interject here. How do we know you are really that woman? Or are you really some immature, trolling, stupid brat trying to stir trouble on our forum? People have done that sort of thing over the internet. I fell victim to communicating with such people, and from that, I have learned to keep most personal things offline and to myself. Anyway, I'm not going to fall for such an obvious facade, and I wish to prevent anyone else from finding such gross disappointment and disaster. Fess up, man. When other forum users attempted to downplay the frequency of online trolling, Chris defended himself. It has happened to me before, for real. And if you don't believe, take for example the author of the comic book series featuring that yellow electric hedgehog, Sonichu, if I remember correctly. Before a time, the author had a clean history, then cyberbullies and trolls attacked him greatly. Now googling his name will result in over 1 million results of hate and name soiling, especially from the blackmail and deceptions he had to endure. In mid-June, Jackie invited Chris to meet her in Washington, D.C. for the 4th of July. He was reluctant to travel after his parents' reaction to MAGFest. If I make this trip on the whim, I risk not having a home to return to, and I need confirmation on the solid destination. And I cannot afford at all costs to put my mum and dad at their ages through so much stress and trauma. It could spell death for one or both of them, and I would be homeless, out on the street within a few months. This Cinderella situation saddens me greatly. 2 days before he was set to leave, Chris informed his mother about the trip. She brought up many reasons that he shouldn't go, and suggested that the trip was solely for the purpose of losing his virginity. Chris eventually decided that he would stay home. Jackie was deeply hurt, and demanded a private video of Chris going out on a date with her, using his sex doll as her stand-in.
And now, Jackie Pie, I'm gonna go ahead and sweep you off your feet. Even though right now, you're sitting down.
After dancing with Jackie, he takes her to McDonald's for a romantic dinner.
So, Jackie Pie, what you want to do now? I think we make out. I'm gonna see where it goes from there. Alright.
The date concludes in Chris's bathroom as the two make passionate love. Jackie wasn't satisfied with the sex video and asked for a second take, instructing Chris to repeatedly say the phrase, "Who's your brony?"
Who's your brony? Who's your brony? Who's your brony? Who's your brony?
Jackie asked Chris to recreate an infamous shock video known as Cakefarts. Not wishing to waste an entire cake, Chris ate one slice before setting up the camera.
Hey, Jackie Pie. You know what I like the most? Cakefarts. Let's get this done. What the hell am I doing here? What the hell am I doing? I paid $9 for this cake. That's a lot of yen. Hawaii!
On July 20th, Chris's posts on the Tomboys and Tomgirls of Virginia forum were leaked to the Quickie by a troll known as Thorg. The following day, Chris decided to come clean. My Tomgirl and Tomboy acquaintances, I feel it is time I introduce myself better. I am more than just a Tomgirl. I am the high-functioning autistic person who is heavily emotionally damaged, artistic inspiration lost with paranoia, deception, blackmail and hurtful words from those bottom-feeding trolls. I am the hand-drawing original creator of Sonichu, Rosechew and the city of Quickville, Virginia, USA. I am Christian Weston Chandler of Ruckersville, Virginia. For years, I have fallen victim to their treachery. I have tried within my own limited knowledge and technology to counterattack those fiends. I have mostly failed, and as a result my reputation on the internet fell deep into their treacherous exaggerations, lies and crap. If I had any knowledge or technology, I would have hacked into and destroyed every one of their web pages, servers and whatnot long ago. But I did, and still do not. All I could do in the end was hide in the old-fashioned, as it would appear to be now, world of real life, off the internet. Yet, I am one who does not like to be left behind in the modern world. Now that they have found me on here, you all have been dragged into my darkness. For that, I feel deep shame and regret, and I am really sorry about that. I am not the disgruntled, mean, or perverted person they have mislabeled of me. I am only a normal, heterosexual, good-natured, high-functioning autistic tomgirl, and I want to be treated like a normal person. The forum, almost entirely made up of trolls, rallied behind Chris. Users offered up fake information about the many trolls that had troubled him over the years. Using this false information, Chris returned to YouTube to call out his enemies one by one. He began with Surfshack Tito.
Surfshack Tito, or should I say, Don in Michigan. And I'm not saying that he's a total fat person, but he would make the really big Buddha look like a supermodel in comparison. In fact, with his looks, he could be a Rasta Buddha. Now, Don, let's talk business. If you do not want me to reveal the entire photograph, or any of the remainder of your information of which I have upon my possession, you will follow my demands. Apologize directly to my ex-girlfriend Heather and her family. You may even call them up on the telephone that you are the one among which responsible for pretending to be me and stopping that relationship between us. Because I would like to have peace between my past friends, because I don't like there to be bad things and ill tidings between people. I would also like you to send me via U.S. mail $1,000 cash, American, unmarked bills, snail mailed to my home address in a long, small white envelope, with your home address clearly, legibly handwritten on the envelope in the return area. And lastly, from this point, after you have done these things, I would like you, Dawn of Michigan, to leave me, my life, my family, my friends alone, to be, for the rest of our lives, in peace.
Next, Chris called out Thorg.
I call to your attention Master Thorg, Thorg, or as he known in real life, Jeremy, within Canada. He is a pizza-faced atheist. And we know that the atheist does not like having his mind changed about God. I mean, I gotta tell you, man, God is all-powerful. How do you think the Earth was created aside from the Big Bang? Who had to put the Big Bang together? God. And I know from my Bible, my hand on it, that between him and Jesus, they're pretty powerful. They're pretty powerful individuals. And I believe in them. Jesus has done a lot with his miracles before he had to weigh the cross, which I just empathize with him on that. I mean, it's like I could feel the thorns that were drugged plowed through his hands and his feet. Hard crowns. Empathy is a powerful thing.
Chris set his sights on Alec Benson Leary, creator of Aspertube.
I am here to make another troll expose, as I have found another one amongst the bunch. The bunches. The one called Alec Benson Leary is not who he appears to be, and he certainly is not an original creator of Aspertube. In fact, he is not even Aspergian. He does not have Asperger's. And he's another fat. What I would like from you is essentially a live video apology for all the wrongs you have done to me over the internet, including the copyright infringement of my Sonichu with your cheap, poor excuse of a 9-year-old Asperger, you immature jerk. He has been donating to the troll cause and such over at the place, the Gaming Holic place, of which we are fully aware of and have grown to love and such. But there is more to the place, and its 3 associated stores located only within Virginia. The 4 stores, their owner, a one Mr. Robert Lightburn, is a child murderer and convicted sex offender in Illinois. And I'm sure that in association, even though he is married, Michael Snyder has his own child skeletons in his closet. He probably even his own daughter, for all I know. I do not have concrete facts, so therefore that is just theory until I am corrected.
Next, Chris went after Blue Spike, the troll behind the Julie persona.
Julaaaay! Julaaaay! It's the Brandon Anderson! Julaaaay! And that's who we are calling out next. The person who pretended to be an adult woman, but yet was a little brat. And guess what? He is confirmed to have Asperger's. And I don't care much for Aspergians, and I do not care to be associated with them, and I do not accept the scientific fact that autism is linked to Asperger's at any time. And of course he was responsible for that Julaaaay fiasco, making me drive all the way to Cleveland, Ohio, and cutting up the second medal. And he has no job. And he is also a gamer. You have until September 15th. Julaaaay!
Chris was told that the true identity of Jack Thaddeus was Ahuviya Harrell, a trans woman who was also the target of online trolling.
Good day. I felt it was appropriate to dress in my feminine attire as you can see fit. Because I am definitely calling out one Jack Thaddeus, and we happen to share similar common interests, a few of which. Like, yes, we both accept the adjective of being called except for him, he's just going through the whole gender changing operation. Yep, slopping off his feet and putting on the old and getting the tuxiest. I would never do that. I would never do that. Never have a sex change operation. I'm proud to be a male, and I'm even more proud to be a Tomgirl. And we both are into femdom, which is female domination. Oh yeah, I'd like to get smacked by my woman. Yes, I feel that he would definitely not be considered any at all a woman whatsoever. He just only fashionably looks like a woman with the parts and whatnot, except he would not have a uterus. And he would have no reproductive organs. I mean, I want to have children someday. Obviously, he don't. he's not a tomgirl at all. He's just a full-blown I mean, yeah. Everybody who is a called Ahuviya, a god dang homo. Oh yes, he is a communist, and we do not like communists within this country. We are Republican, Democrat, or neutral. And I am neutral, so I can go either way. But I do not exactly care much for communism. We do not like to stand under one ruler. It is very unruly and stupid. I will give a Heil, right in the Fuhrer's face. Heil, right in the Fuhrer's face.
Chris's video was removed from YouTube for hate speech.
Hello, Christian Western Chandler. This is Ahuviya from Philadelphia, PA. Let me tell you something. As someone who's a male to female transgender and who is pansexual, this means, Chris, I love everyone regardless of their gender identity. I love everyone. That's something you are incapable of doing. Because you have shown the world you are incapable of tolerating these differences. Chris, freedom is what you make it to be. Until you get out of that room, get a job, get your own place, see the world, you don't have it. Change is going to come to your world, and you're going to have to learn how to adapt. And my only fear is you are just totally incapable of doing that.
Chris recorded a response to Ahuviya.
I am all for equality, but there is a limit. I do not want to be forced or intimidated into or bullied into lifestyles that I just not am of or feel comfortable around. So I would say, good luck being a fake woman, because you'll never be able to achieve true femdom. And you'll always be a dang male because you were born that way. You're gonna stay that way pretty much, even if you have your either chopped off or tucked in. People are still gonna look at you so ill in the majority of this country. Anyway, that's my response for now. Damn.
While Chris was recording his calling out videos, his father became seriously ill. By the end of August, Bob's health issues prevented him from leaving the house. Meanwhile, Chris continued to fulfill private video requests for Jackie. In early September, Bob was rushed to Martha Jefferson Hospital due to heart failure. On September 4th, the Chandlers celebrated Bob's 84th birthday. 2 days later, Bob passed away. On September 7th, Chris emailed Jackie. I could not get any sleep. My heavier cries from my father's passing is really hitting me bad. Suffice to say, I am feeling through multiple emotions. I, like my mother, cannot believe he is gone. In a dream I had years ago, the Grim Reaper made an appearance. I asked him directly, I understand my dad does not have long to live, but I have to ask why you're here. When will you be taking my father? He informed me that he would not claim his soul until the year 2015, so I've known since before 2005 that Robert had a good number of years left. 2015! Damn you, Reaper, this is 2011! I was promised that we'd be blessed with father's presence for 4 more years. I was promised! Shortly after the death of Bob, Jackie called Chris while other trolls listened in. Chris was understandably upset and cried throughout the call. The conversation was recorded, but due to Chris's emotional state, it was never released to the public out of respect. Most of the prominent trolls, including Alec, Benson, Leary, and Clyde Cash, decided to retire. Barbara and Chris collaborated on Bob's obituary. In lieu of flowers, they asked for monetary donations. Bob's son David showed up to the funeral to pay his respects. His daughter Carol did not.
Hello?
I'm fine. This is Officer Martin from Sheriff's Department. How can I help you this evening?
I beg your pardon, I didn't understand you.
Deputy Martin from the Sheriff's Department.
What the insurance department?
Big Daddy's Pizza.
Who is this? For crying in a bucket.
What's the phone number coming in?
Nothing.
Well, hang up.
Hello?
Who do you think you are?
Who are you?
You have got a issue problem. God forgive you.
Why don't you quit dialing my number and go somewhere and play a game with the gutter rats?
Bring yourself over here. I'll show you what's the matter, okay?
Listen, boy, you get your black ass down in the gutter and stay there. You understand?
I am the woman of the house, and you don't call me and ask me who my daddy is.
I didn't call your house, sir.
No,
Man,
you are.
Whatever you are. I'll let you talk to my wife. Maybe she can talk some sense into your head.
I ain't talking to nobody this time of night. Hang it up.
Hello?
Hello.
Why are you calling my phone?
Now listen, you stupid son of a bitch. I never called you
You
before.
stupid son of a bitch, don't call me again. Get down in your damn low-life gutter, okay? I'll stay there.
You
And
stupid
don't call me
cocksucker.
again, you bastard.
Who are you calling?
I didn't call you.
Well, you're fucked up somehow. Goodbye.
Hello?
Hello?
Why are you calling me?
Why are you calling my phone?
Can I explain something to you? There is on the internet a bunch of trolls. Now, they persecute people. The telephone company knows about this, and the federal government knows about this.
What's on your mind? You call me, now shut up or get off the phone or speak.
Well, I'm trying to be nice to you and to explain what's happening. You're being a victim of the internet people that persecute people.
Listen, you motherfucker. Get in your low-life gutter.
Listen, I didn't start cussing at you. Now, just cut it down. Cool it down. I'm trying to be nice to you. Hello?
Sir or ma'am or whatever the hell you are, don't you call up here cussing at my husband.
You get your black ass down in the gutter and stay there.
I ain't got no black ass. You get your gutter ass out in the gutter and shut up.
Hello?
Hello, is this Robert Chandler?
Yes? What's your problem?
Well, actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. I'm an employee at the game place. I apologize for calling you so long after the incident occurred, but given your son's continued harassment of our store, I felt we needed to speak to you.
The game place now. I knew that he had a lot of problems with you people several years ago.
Well,
when you
what happened was
kicked him out and everything else for no reason of his own. Mike's been persecuting him for years, and I don't like Mike. This whole thing was a
sir, the point is
at the
that
very beginning with my son. Now I didn't like it
Sir,
then, and I still don't like it. Now what happened in June?
Sir, well, after he left, when he couldn't get himself unbanned, he came back several days later and was taking pictures of people in the store.
Well, that's not illegal.
One of the patrons.
Now, Mike and Megan are the ones that conspired together with a couple of other people, kids there, I think were gay, to persecute and torment Christian for years. People are harassing him from all over the world. You have people, including Mike, and I'm sure you've heard of Megan or know Megan, right there in the store.
I've heard about Megan.
Yeah,
Sir, I don't understand why
they're
you're
the people
not
that are
concerned about your
terrorizing
son
Christian. They're the people that are terrorizing Christians, okay?
On October 28th, well over a month after the death of Bob, Chris and his mother happened to walk by the game place. They noticed a sign in the window explaining that the store was under new ownership. Wondering if they might be willing to unban Chris, he and Barb entered the shop to investigate. To his horror, Chris came face to face with the new owner, his arch nemesis, Michael Snyder. Chris snapped a picture using his 3DS, shouting, "For the internet," before leaving the store. Snyder followed them back to their car. There are different accounts on what happened next, but allegedly, Barbara and/or Chris hit Michael Snyder with their car while trying to escape the parking lot. When the police arrived, Barb assaulted one of the cops during their arrest. Both Chris and his mother were charged with felony assault, and Chris was charged with additional misdemeanors for assault and trespassing. They both spent the night in jail and were bailed out the following day by Chris's pastoral counselor, Rocky Shoemaker. Upon release, Chris uploaded the pictures he took of Snyder to the Quickie, with the caption, "Michael Snyder, the dirty, fat, child Jew." On November 1st, Michael Snyder filed a civil suit against Chris and Barb and received a protective order. The Chandlers hired politician Rob Bell as their defense attorney after meeting him at church. On December 8th, a troll pretending to be a court-appointed psychiatrist called Rocky Shoemaker, hoping to gain insight into Chris's legal situation.
Hello?
Oh, good afternoon. Is this Miss Shoemaker?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Perrin. I was appointed by the court to give an assessment of Chris's mental health. You've been his pastoral counselor for some time.
No, I don't have any authorization to talk to anybody about this. I would have to see something in writing simply because I have been getting a lot of unauthorized phone calls.
Well,
or if you could go through the lawyer, Robert Bell, he would certainly authorize it. And that's just to protect Christian, because I've had police reports filed over the past 2 years because of the misuse of my phone.
Well, I shall be meeting with Christian in Christian's home on 14 Branch Lawn Court.
Oh, he is meeting you at his home?
Yes.
I think you'll have a very difficult time getting anything done in that home.
Well,
simply because they are having an infestation problem in that home. And the social services and the health department have been a part of that.
Oh my goodness.
It would probably not be a real wise place for you to go.
I wasn't aware that it was as bad as you say it was.
I have not been there, and I do not know.
Oh.
Except from what the nurses have said.
Now, how long ago was that?
Around the time of his father's death.
Oh, that would have been about 2 or 3 months ago, I think.
He was while he was in the hospital under quarantine.
Christian
because of it. No, Christian's father.
Oh.
He had bug bites all over him.
Good God. I'm not happy to hear about this infestation problem, though, especially with Christian the way he is.
Yeah.
All right, I've got to be getting off, but thank you very much for speaking.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
God damn. I was not expecting any of that.
Due to his depression and legal troubles, Chris rarely appeared in public over the next few months, aside from the occasional court hearing. In January 2012, Chris returned to Facebook expressing loneliness and his need for a sweetheart. On January 26th, Chris lashed out at the game place. The place is nothing but a meeting place and breeding ground for the perverted trolls and cyberbullies that have been torturing me the past greater than 4 freaking years. I want to see that place burn to the ground. In February, Chris resumed his love quest at Fashion Square Mall. He brought edited flyers from the game place that warned potential shoppers to stay away from the hobby shop, and that it was a hangout spot for cyberbullies. Mall security put a stop to this, as Chris explained on Facebook. I took my normal once around the mall before settling down to hang, but I impulsively decided to leave a few photos as I walked. Eventually, I settled for my hand at a table at the S-Box kiosk. I called my mother to check in. While ringing, a Jerkops wandered into my space. I saw 1 to a handful of my warning photos in his right hand. I felt shocked with surprise. Mum answered. I played it cool with her. While I started to get up and walk away, we finished the chat. She hung up, I hung up as I walked. Then I looked back. The Jerkop following me said something. I started running into the JCP. I hid in the back for a moment to catch myself. I thought it best to leave and return another day. Set to exit via the one with the salon, E and an accomplice intercepted me. You're not in any trouble, the Jerkop said. The hell I was not. Or why would the son of a bitch be chasing after me? I exited via the south exit instead. I veered my way around eastward to the Mitsu I was driving, far east, from the East Belt entrance. The Jerkop called out to me by name once during the mess. I was not going to associate with anyone who knew me by name without my familiarity of him or her. Cheap internet fame is just not worth a shit. I got into my car and escaped swiftly, leaving behind a confused accomplice. On February 18th, Chris had an epiphany about his old gal pal Megan Schroeder. Everyone, I have most urgent news. It is final in my mind and from my mother as an eye and ear witness of her consorting with Michael Snyder long before November 2007. Megan Schroeder is the seed of the whole hate and smear campaign against me on the internet. If any of you all know where she is or have clues of her or her brother, John Schroeder, current whereabouts, please inform me on this wall, post haste. She is needed brought to me, my mother and our attorney for great questioning and a huge piece of my mind. He shared a photograph of Megan and her brother, including her last known home address. The trolling started before November 2007. Conversations between her and Mr. Snyder were overheard by my mother. I was, from her perspective, weird, different, my good intentions greatly misunderstood, stalker-like, etc. Put it all together, she is the seed of all that evil. Both my parents knew. I was ignorant for the long time up till now. Little changed over the next few weeks. Chris made frequent Facebook posts about his perceived victimhood. Things are considerably unchanged. I still do not care for the trolls or Megan Schroeder. I'm still awaiting my next trial from Mr. Snyder's trap. I am still feeling lonely. I need some sex. I'm no different from everyone else on that topic. I get horny. I think about it often. I'm dreaming of inserting my rod, A, into female slot V, followed by some lost genetics. Being an adult virgin sucks. Abstinence is a joke. I'm lonely. I'm tired of being ignored and overlooked in public by women. I need some sex. On April 4th, Chris wrote a shocking update on his Facebook wall. I am not a virgin anymore. I have been in a good mood a lot lately because I finally had sex. So I'll divulge a couple of details. I mean, seriously, I literally awake and the first thing that comes to mind is the occasion, and I'm smiling for hours. She was a very nice and sweet early 20s woman, and even better, she's half Cherokee. We've hit it off from the shared characteristic of being good people, and a very delightful and pleasant conversation. We exchanged phone numbers and we did it in her room. I put together a nice gift basket for her to show my appreciation. Oh, I forgot to mention, she really enjoyed my dick. It was so big and good that it put the last dude she was with to shame. Her words. Chris shared the full story with a trusted gal pal over email. I was in the Days Inn parking lot. She confirmed she was in 338. I arrive at her door and knocked 3 times. It's about 4:30 p.m. She opens and invites me in. Unexpectedly, but not surprising, I was also greeted with the smell of aged smoke. She had done the weed. I complained a little and I sniff up a small handful of hand sanitizer. It quelled it down for me. Mia was very nice, likable and down to earth. And she was 24. I forgot to mention she greeted me in a black lace negligee. She had an average figure, her breasts were a C, she had a lip ring bauble, tongue ring bauble, and ring baubles on each of her fine nipples. We casually stripped for each other. We communicated good throughout. She was fixed, but she insisted I be protected as well. She offers me a green apple-flavored condom. I lie on the bed naked. She was naked. She had the condom in the edge of her lips. She mouths it onto my most erect penis, and she gives me a very good. Her tongue bauble was a very delightful and stimulating bonus onto my hard one. As she me, I placed my hands on her shoulders. After she was done, she laid beside me. Her was wet. We handled each other. Her vaginal opening felt really good, and I found her clit. Yet she was very clear about me keeping my fingers outside. I respected her request. Then we roll into each other. We make out, no tongues, with peckings and open mouth. We touched each other. Her skin was very smooth. My 5 o'clock made my chin a bit rough. Her long, black hair was silky smooth and shiny. Her blue eyes smiled at me, and so did she. I gave her a sample of my strong-handed massage that my mum enjoyed in the past. Mia really liked that. Then I felt and informed her that I was ready to go in. I requested cowgirl, with possible missionary later, but that did not happen. Her pelvic thrusts were amazing. Her was tight, even after pushing 2 daughters out of there years ago. And I supported her thrusts with my hands on her knees, weaving back and forth. I also gave her breasts a good thrusting. I felt her front pelvic bone, which really made the top of the game. She came and I came, but on my coming, it was only half felt, and the semen that was mostly outside, but a smidge on the outside of the condom confirmed it. Then I washed my dick with a washcloth I brought with me, and dried it off with a towel I also brought. I was really satisfied. Then we conversed for the rest of the $150 hour. It was very pleasant. She is a mother of 2. They're staying with her mama. Papa Bear ditched Mia. It is very sad. She goes from town to town, and she is getting education for a better future along the way. Her individual escort service is a quick spot of cash for her. God bless her and her family. I also told her a bit of myself here and there, including the trolls and cyberbullies. Chris met up with her again on April 14th. I have also hung out with Mia again today, treated her to a pleasant and good lunch and another good amount of conversation. We got to know each other a little better. Then, after returning to her hotel room, I gave her another little donation towards her funding, and gave her the missionary. I am naturally really good, a lot better than had thought before. If I may state, you really missed out on having this bad boy that has felt tightness within a that gave birth to 2 girls beforehand. I'd say that hallway would be loosing all of the doors off their hinges with my penetration, relatively speaking. But Chris's elation was short-lived. Losing his virginity did little to alleviate Chris's loneliness, and his desire for a sweetheart soon returned. The time is too great, and these are grave, desperate times. I'm going to start going back to Fashion Square Shopping Center in Charlottesville, Virginia, with my sign, and going into my sweetheart search with full-on guns a-blazing. Chris made sure to announce the dates and times that he would be visiting the mall, hoping to draw the attention of any trolls that might try and interfere with his love quest. On April 28th, Chris declared victory. You, all of you, trolls and cyberbullies, you are also fallible, gullible, paranoia-prone, clownish, at the bottom of the heap, stupid fools. For I, Christian Weston Chandler, have fooled the vast majority of you all, not counting those who have posted their own suspicions. Yes, 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 I've been reading your comically inept and crackpot theoretical posts on your forum. Nothing is private to and of you fools. To preface, I will enlighten your puny minds straightforward. I had no intention, purpose, or ability to go to Fashion Square at all on today, the 28th. Do you want to know why? Oh, you all are so impressionable. On the 31st of March, I was really having a bad day. What, with the upcoming court date on the 4th of April and all. I was feeling very irritable then. I was walking the mall peacefully, but with a stress in my head. I answer a few calls from a troll or two, just to give you all a piece of my anger. Yes, yes, laugh and scoff all you want. My answers were cursory and loud, overheard. Yes, I was chased by Jerkops, but I did not receive the yellow slip until the 25th of April that said banned. So, I later decided to pull a prank on you all. The elaborate Facebook note, letting you all shoot yourselves in the foot more by prank calling the mall and their latest manager, Mr. Wiener. His name was on the slip next to manager. I too scoff at his small sausage name. All I had to do was stay at home with doors locked and let you all argue and fight it out. I read your posts and laughed at everything you thought was true or what was false, theories and mistaken facts. You all think you know me, but you really do not, and you all just do not and never will understand me at all. And as long as your purpose of knowing me consists of that of gossip columnist or worse, trolling, bullying, cyberbullying, abuse, or anything of malcontent, I do not want you to know me ever. In the end, you all have played right into my hands. Like me, overlooking the battlefield and picking up and placing you all, one by one, into the bombing range center. I am a lot more intelligent, wise, and knowledgeable than your puny minds can theorize. I am not stupid, nor am I a moron. And you know what? You all have made me this way. Crazy and paranoid, with loss of peace of mind. With Chris and Barbara's trial rapidly approaching, users on the Quickie forums began hatching a plan for a poster campaign to ensure that Chris was convicted of his crimes. They vowed to storm Charlottesville on June 2nd to hand out flyers. Chris asked his allies to infiltrate the game place, believing that Michael Snyder was the head of the operation. His old friend Anna McLaren repeatedly told him that there was no poster campaign, and that the trolls were only trying to get a reaction. Her warnings were ignored. When June 2nd arrived, Chris woke up early, locked himself in his home, and kept a close eye on the local news and out his window, while providing frequent updates on Facebook and Twitter. He asked his followers to locate any posters, destroy them, and arrest all trolls involved in the campaign. Chris warned that the trolls could be armed, and that they may be dressed up as clowns, members of the KKK, or pickles. He also believed that they may have hired a skywriter to project anti-Christian propaganda from the sky. When nobody responded, Chris chastised his Facebook friends for ignoring him. Swell. Nobody cares enough to give me a visual confirmation on the poster plot, and the known and unknown haunts me over and over. I could be dead, and no one on my Facebook would give a damn. Thanks a lot. Anna McLaren finally replied. Here's my reason for not saying anything. I know it's all fake, and that you've fallen for it once again. Nobody's out there posting signs or protesting or anything. But if I say that, you won't believe me. On June 4th, Chris gave an update on his mental state to Love You Long Time. I am so tired from stress. It's harder for me to maintain focus and thoughts. I feel like I just want to go ahead and die naturally, unless the stress kills me first. And I'm not going to commit of any sort. At least I don't have to worry about dying a virgin. I feel like my dream of starting up a family with my future sweetheart and having our crystal daughter is not going to be realised or come true. My only great purpose now is for my mother, our 2 cats, and our 2 puppies. No girlfriend or sweetheart as freaking promised from multiple dreams for Christian Weston Chandler. Only hatred, fear, discrimination, and a whole wide world of extreme, unjustifiable shit lies in the wake of my once good name. Nobody really, truly understands me. I'm sad, confused, lost. I do not understand. On June 8th, Chris noticed a young man nibbling at his girlfriend's ear and was overwhelmed by anger. I feel like I'm inches away from becoming a supervillain who not wants to conquer the world but wants to be rid of all males 21 to 50 years old by transporting all of those jerks into another dimension, or accelerating their individual ages to 51 each. But I know a lot better than that, and I just bottle my anger up into my fist and punch the air, free of any living being. A deeply paranoid Chris began seeing intolerance and bigotry in all places. I have just been discriminated again at the McDonald's at Forest Lakes. Do not go there either. Or, if you do... On June 29th, Chris complained about the consequences of his own actions. I've been encountering people who started hating me, in reference to the recent bans from those 2 McDonald's. That now makes 5 places I have been banned and am banned from around here, counting Fashion Square, damn that man a jerk, Piedmont Virginia Community College, damn Mary Lee Walsh, and The Place. Children damned Michael Snyder. I seriously have been publicly invisible for years. The damn trolling stupids have manipulated me, smeared my once good name through the worst mud, muck, and bodily fluids, mentally and emotionally raped me continuously, made the worst imaginable reputation of me on the internet, and relayed that into offline life in gossip, rumours, and presidentially grand fucked up campaigns. My mind is comparably worse off as a terribly bad drug addict, constantly blank, irritable, untalkative, ignorant to most social cues, lost in life, yada yada yada. Except, I do not do any of those drugs or smoke, and I just do not understand most people and a lot of shit in life. July 10th, the day of Chris and Barbara's trial finally arrived. 2 trolls attended the trial and recounted their experience to the Quickie forums afterwards. They noted that Barbara seemed to have lost a bit of weight, possibly due to the stress of losing her husband. She pled guilty to all charges. The prosecution was given the opportunity to speak before Chris took the stand. Surprisingly, Michael Snyder asked the judge for mercy, not wishing for Chris and Barbara to be burdened with felony charges. Rob Bell formally introduced Chris to the judge, hoping to explain his mental disability. Bell referred to him as an adult autistic child, causing Chris to audibly scowl. He asked for leniency, promising that if the plea bargain was accepted, Chris would receive psychiatric evaluations and treatment. When Chris was brought to the stand, the judge asked him if he understood. Should he accept the plea bargain, that he would be responsible for covering Michael Snyder's medical expenses? Chris replied, "Yes, but I don't think that thieving lie deserves a red cent." After some discussion between Bell and the prosecution, Barbara and Chris were both found guilty of failing to stop at the scene of an accident. Barb was additionally found guilty of assault on a police officer. Chris and his mother were sentenced to community service and probation. All of the charges were dropped. Bob had left his family a sizable inheritance, apparently worth tens of thousands of dollars. But between their politician lawyer, medical expenses, and other legal fees, nearly all of Bob's inheritance was gone, leaving the Chandler family with little savings and no income. Chris was extremely unhappy with the outcome of his trial, later writing, "I still feel like I've lost, because Snyder is getting paid, indirectly from me and my mother, through our insurance. He won, that goddamn bribing bastard. I wish him dead from either a heart attack or gunshot."
Calling me.